All right, something I wanted to talk about today is something that came up in a conversation with Will a couple days ago, but previously it came up in the interview with Leo from EXP, CEO of EXP. He was on the podcast recently, and I actually brought up a point he made on another podcast, and I've heard him talk about. He's talking about how people, based on his experience, often prefer a painkiller over a vitamin. He's talking about in a business perspective. People often prefer the quick fix or the right now fix as opposed to the investment in the long term. So I asked him about this. The way I asked him was, right now in the market, someone was a new agent, what would be the vitamin?
Mm-hmm.
What would be the thing you're investing in for the long term, the way you're going about building your brand? Of course, he gave his feedback on YouTube a bit, but I love this analogy in a lot of ways. I also like to think about it on another level. It's like medication versus exercise. Now, exercise doesn't always solve a problem that medication solves.
Yeah.
But it does solve a lot of them.
Yeah.
Or another example for myself is like adding something or subtracting something. So do you add the vitamin? Do you add another regimen or the other thing? Or do you just like cut out alcohol?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you just cut out staying awake later? You go to bed earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that.
You cut out video games for a season. Like whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that we could cut and be just fine. Maybe be better.
Yeah. You don't have to cut them out forever. Just
No,
kind of
you
reset.
don't.
Yeah.
Right.
But it could be the solution you need.
And I just like the word subtract for that. It's like, okay, something feels overwhelming. Something feels scary. Something isn't going the way you want it to go. My mind goes to, okay, what can I cut out for a while?
Yeah.
That would help me not feel this, but also like achieve what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, because you might accidentally solve that problem, but you'll never know unless you try a few things, and you go, "Oh, the reason I was feeling down all the time was because
Yeah.
I don't know, I was staring at my phone for too long or something." And you find that out through subtracting stuff periodically.
You know, Christina's nursing a baby these days, and the baby has some like reflux and gagging issues.
Yeah.
All of our babies kind of have that, so it's not that surprising to us. But something that they recommend is like an elimination diet. Okay, cut out eggs. Did that change anything? Okay. Okay, now bring eggs back in. Now cut out dairy.
Yeah.
Did that do anything? A little bit, but not much. Okay, now cut out soy. Apparently there's soy in everything. She doesn't really consume those things, but a lot of packaged foods have soy in them.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a stabilizer or something like that. But,
Yeah.
that kind of process of elimination is really common in a lot of worlds. But it is very common when you're trying to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Say you have a problem with your car, say you have a problem with something like that.
Yeah.
There's water coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a process of elimination to figure out where the problem is. And I think sometimes subtracting things, and I want to start to apply this to real estate business, but subtracting things helps us to see where the problem might actually be.
Yeah.
So can you see how I would like apply this to real estate?
That was going to be my next question is how would you, like, you can apply that to life, but how would you apply that to like your real estate business?
I was meeting with some newer agents today for lunch, and they were asking like, what's the best lead source right now? And I'm like, well, it really like depends like where you are in your business, what market you're in, what you want to do. Like there's a lot of questions, but like, let's just look at it like where you are. I'm like, if I were you guys, I would do 1, 2, 3. I explained kind of those steps. And so much of it when you're new into something, when you feel like you're trying hard, you just try everything, but without much focus or attention.
Yeah.
So that's where I think subtracting, like in a real estate business, like, no, just What are your 2 or 3 lanes of business you're building right now? What's the thing you're maintaining? What's the thing you're building? Like, it could just be that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where we'll often have an idea, and I'll be like, let's do that next quarter.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to put it on our plate right now.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on.
Because then there's also this kind of like line of thoughts. Like, yeah, that you have one of us has an idea. Is it interesting or exciting? Yeah, it is. Are we capable of doing it? Probably. Or we know somebody that can help. Is it sustainable? Nope.
Yeah.
So then, like, it doesn't make it through the rest of the filters.
That's a good point. So
Because
like,
after that, I'm asking, is it profitable?
so how would you come to the answer to the questions?
So, okay, let's say you have an idea. You want to do a quarterly event for our clients. Okay, it's exciting. Cool. Are we capable of doing it? Yeah, we've done events. They've got mixed options. We could probably get a sponsor to help quite a bit with that. Is it sustainable?
It's tough.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
Because at that kind of frequency, it's not sustainable. Okay, so then what would make it sustainable? Okay, maybe 2 a year,
Yeah.
right?
Doing it like that. Yep.
Beginning of summer, end of summer. Beginning of summer and Halloween. Something like that. So you could, if it gets bounced back at one of these filters, just go back a little bit further. Okay, what would make it sustainable? Okay, if it gets through sustainable, is it profitable? Well, not at first. What would make it profitable? Okay, how we engage with these past clients at these events, how we connect with them, how we stay connected with them by offering to send them a vendor or introduce them to someone, something like that.
You can't just have the events. You have to
You can
put in the extra work.
But that if it's going to go through this filter for our business, and then so after, is it profitable? The next filter is how big do you want it to be? Because just defining like, okay, this is the goal.
Yeah.
And then what will it take to get there? Sometimes it takes money. Sometimes it takes manpower. Sometimes it takes both. Sometimes it takes focus for a quarter or focus for a year.
Yeah.
Or it just becomes part of the business and you do it every week. You work on it a little bit every week. But identifying like, where do you want it to go? And then what would it take to get it there?
Yeah, it's a good point.
So that's kind of the filter that I go through when
you have an idea or something.
Yeah. Because the ideas are like a dime a dozen. And that's I like new ideas.
Yeah.
I don't want to shut them down ever, but they have to be treated accordingly.
So how do you determine what is necessary for the timeline someone's maybe in? Like, say you have a new agent.
Yeah.
They're like, really need to build out my Google business page.
Sure.
My thought would be, of all the things you could work on at first, would that be number one, or would that, I mean, it's 100% necessary, but it's maybe down the road? I don't know. It's just an example.
It's a good question. One thing I often tell people is like, don't fix a problem before it's a problem. Like you're just trying to like solve something before there's actually a demand for it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have any clients to leave reviews, so don't worry about where they leave reviews yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just doesn't matter yet.
Yeah.
Whenever I bought this house, the pool heater didn't work. And I knew it. And I just said that's future Sam's problem.
Yeah. It's not cold yet.
And then when it became a problem, I was like, I don't want to fix it anyway. It's fine.
Yeah.
So like actually just moving the problem out to the future a bit. Now, if it could be solved right now and easily and it's important, go ahead and solve it. But it could just be future Sam's problem. And then he'll decide what to do then.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just in a pattern of doing that with everything, not many things are going to get done.
That's true.
But it's when it's a new thing.
So like timeline is key.
Now, if YouTube changes the way that their algorithm works, that's a right now thing. If the National Association of Realtors changes rules around compensation, that's a right now thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, how do we navigate that right now? Let's decide. Let's implement systems and processes. Let's move on.
Yep, because it's necessary.
Right.
So as a new agent, you got 20, 30 things you're hearing about.
Yeah.
How do you determine what's most necessary right off the get-go? I'm thinking about myself. It's overwhelming. Figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's the problems that don't necessarily need solving now.
Yeah.
But then there's well, if I built this out, like YouTube, for instance, like
Yeah.
new agent, if I build this out consistently, yeah, I'm not really in a position to handle like 40 deals a year from YouTube, but as long as I follow these steps, eventually it'll get there. But is it necessary now in the beginning? How do you determine those things?
So I'm going to break it down in 3 different ways. Number 1 is building your brand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's always kind of at the back of your mind, like, I'm going to meet this standard with clients. I'm going to do things this way. I'm going to present myself this way. That has to be there.
Yeah.
It's a sales job. That needs to be forefront. Next is practicing the job. Now, so let's just say you're a new realtor. That's what one of the options I presented to these people today was like, sign up for OpCity and get paid leads.
Mm-hmm.
You need more practice.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't written a contract yet.
Yeah.
You need the practice. First of all, go pretend.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have this pretend client you're writing an offer for, and send it to me and present it to me, and I'll reject it kindly
Yeah.
or aggressively. But yeah, you need to practice the job.
Experience.
My first deal in real estate, I made like $430.
Dang, how big was it?
It was a weird deal because I left the broker while I was under contract.
Oh.
But that deal was so hard and so much work, but I learned so much.
Yeah.
And I was so excited that I made a little bit of money when I learned all those things.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that big of a deal that I only made that much because I learned so much.
Yeah. That's huge when you're starting out.
It's huge. So practicing the job is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when I took on that client, I knew it was going to be hard.
Yeah. Those are the best ones. You learn.
Yeah, and she's also sent me tons of referrals.
That's great.
Yeah.
Best client I've ever had, didn't buy a house. In terms of learning,
Yeah.
I had this one client, she and her husband was an artist. She worked for BBC as a producer. They wanted to buy a house, $500,000 to $600,000 in St. Pete. We looked at 150 houses all around St. Pete over
Are there even that many listings in St. Pete?
9 months.
Over 9 months.
Never bought a house. They actually just bought a house with somebody else, but
Oh, wow.
it's fine. But through them, I know St. Pete now. It's
Yeah.
weird. We saw every neighborhood, every corner. So they ended up being one of the most valuable clients I've probably ever had.
Yeah. But that's like, how do you, if you were not in real estate anymore, so you failed,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't look back and see that as valuable.
No. And I wouldn't look at it as valuable today. Like if I'm showing someone 150 houses today, it's like,
Yeah,
what is the
right.
problem? Like I should have figured out I need to have these conversations.
So
about that.
why, in the midst of that,
Was it fine?
was it fine? And then why did you actually learn a lesson from it?
I had maybe 20, 30 leads that I was in my CRM, in my database, and I'd follow up with all of them before 9 a.m. Then I'd have 9 to 7 p.m. doing virtually nothing.
Yeah.
If they wanted to see a house, it was more experience and I've got nothing else going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it took maybe an hour or two out of my day, but that's fine. When the whole day's open, you might as well.
Yeah.
So I saw it as valuable.
Why do you think you were committed to real estate to like do that?
With them,
Yeah. No, to do that with anybody.
I liked them. I really loved how different every day was. It's like, yeah, we spent 9 months looking at 150 houses, but that every house was different.
But say you got to 11 a.m. on one
Yeah.
of those days. You're like, I have nothing else to do.
No, I'd freak out. I wanted to make money. I wanted to make a lot of money. So
Okay.
I wanted to be busy.
Yeah.
I was like trying to figure out how to fill the day all the time.
So then so it was building your brand, practicing the job, and then exposure to options.
Yeah.
It's still important to go out and try things.
Yes. Yeah.
You think you want to host open houses? Yeah, do that.
Mm-hmm.
One open house a weekend doesn't take much time at all.
Yeah.
and it puts you in front of people. You start to learn, navigate those conversations. In the midst of that, you're also practicing the job of talking to potential clients. But whatever the exposure is, you want to try door knocking, you want to try cold calling, you want to try direct mail, you want to try ads on Facebook. Those are all the things I tried.
Yeah.
I'm just listing off everything I exposed myself to, because that exposure period is valuable. You don't know what you're going to like to do.
Yeah.
Because you might start cold calling and feel like this is really hard, but like once I get in a groove, I really like it. And then I've had a little bit of success, and so I'm going to keep going.
So each of those things you can get a lot of success from that. So what questions did you ask yourself to determine that it wasn't for you?
I just found YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was three months in when the idea of YouTube first like came into my world.
Yeah.
That podcast, and then it was like, no, this is it. I know this is it.
Yeah.
And then I was buying leads to practice the job from Zillow during that time, and building the YouTube channel.
Yeah. That's good.
So at that time, the brand I was building was on YouTube through 2 videos a week. The practice I was doing was through paid leads. And the exposure I was doing was investor meetups and open houses. The thing is, a lot of people have 10 things on this list.
Yeah.
And there can't be 10 things on this list.
No.
They have to be subtracted off.
You got to start asking, I guess, these questions. Which ones to subtract?
Right.
But YouTube, you kept on the list for a year, right? Committed to it. Why?
I really committed to it for 3 months.
3 months, okay.
Yeah. Because the story I heard was them saying, we've been doing it 3 months and we're getting leads every day. Like, okay, I can do it for 3 months. Now I imagined I would do it longer, but I knew that's like the next like mile marker I had in front of me.
So 3 months.
Yeah. That's not very long.
It's not long at all. But you also, okay, so I did it for 3 months. It didn't work because I was doing it wrong. So how do you efficiently do it for 3 months then?
Yeah, I mean, it's really like 1% better. Like if you're getting 1% better each time, then you're gonna grow quite a bit across 3 months. Because, you know, in that 12 weeks, you're doing 24 videos. You're getting 1% better every single time.
Yeah.
Then you're gaining some traction. But I also just decided I'm going to be a student of this.
And study it.
I'm not going to just like, okay, they said do it this way, I'm just going to blindly do it that way. No, I'm going to wake up thinking about YouTube all the time. I go to bed thinking about YouTube. I just let it kind of become an obsession. And I also had like these very big moments. And not everybody's going to have that kind of like epiphany moment where I'm like, that's the way. I had it when I listened to the podcast. Then when I got my first view, I'm like, this is the way.
Yeah, to do it.
And I just like kept like noticing these mile markers. Whenever I like had my first deal, when I showed them a few houses and they're like, do you need us to sign something to work with you? Like they asked me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we're good.
You're like, yeah, fine.
So like even that was like, okay, these people saw me on video 2 days ago and then called me and they want to work with me now. So, okay, it works.
Were you confident off the get-go?
My wife would say arrogant, but yeah, I'm naturally a pretty confident person. I think that comes from like working so much.
Yeah.
Like I worked a lot as a kid. I talked to a lot of adults. So I quit jobs and got other ones and asked for raises. And
So what would you say when people said, okay, how many deals have you closed though?
a handful from YouTube.
That's it. But just like that, right? Like super confident.
But also,
2.
but also super vague.
Yeah, I get that.
But like I've also felt like what's the worst case scenario? I say you're my first, and they're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. You lose people, yeah.
Whenever those people closed, I told them that was my first deal from YouTube. I had other deals going from other sources, so I was a confident realtor.
Yeah.
But I still like asking for help and like getting guidance from others, but I had no pause to say like, this is actually my first closing from YouTube.
Yeah, that's
And they're like, what? You should do a video while you're here.
yeah.
I was like, nah, I don't want to.
That's good though. That's a big first step for people.
Yeah.
I think that's a hard like because you can do all the right steps, but I feel like there's internal obstacles that people can't get over that you might as well not do any of the steps.
Right.
I guess it's another part of it.
So then on Monday, when we talk to our agents about this, it'll be like, these would get broken down into lanes of focus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does it take to do the YouTube videos? And then like, what are the weekly actions associated with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does it take to work the paid leads? Is that like a time block? Is that like you have certain windows that are like really flexible so you can go show people houses?
Mm-hmm.
And then like, what does it take to like set up an open house or go to a meetup?
And then all those things, I think, encompass that 1% rule. Because you might not be really good at phone calls.
Yeah.
But unless you genuinely ask yourself, like, what can I do better on these calls? I don't think it makes a difference how many calls you do.
Right. If you're not actually like looking for data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this went well, this didn't. Okay, so that, Will and I talk about this a lot, an after action report. So you could do this at the end of each day. You could do this at the end of an event, at the end of a hard conversation, at the end of an interview, whatever it is. So what went well? What didn't go well? And then how can you take what went well and double down on it? And how can you take what didn't go well and eliminate it? Or improve it. It could be eliminate or improve.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's a necessary thing, it's improve. If you realize like, oh, I did it that way and I don't have to do it that way. Okay, just don't say those words again. Using like the cold calling example.
Yeah.
So what went well in that kind of a scenario? It could just be like they answered. Okay,
Yeah.
great. What didn't go well? They were super confused in the first 30 seconds why I was calling them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do I take what went well and get more of it? Okay, make more calls.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I take what didn't go well and, eliminate or improve? Okay, explain the purpose of the call sooner, maybe. So
Yeah.
let's go try that.
And
That's 1% better. Like right there.
It's the formula.
And then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what next call? Next day of calls. What went well, what didn't go well?
Mm-hmm. And you just got to consistently do it.
You do.
And then ask people.
That's a key thing, is to get the data. I was just telling a new client to like send us listings. He said he's been saving stuff on Redfin for a year. Like, send us a bunch of that. Like, we need the data. It'll help us know what you like, what you don't
yeah.
like, what we can do well for you,
Mm-hmm.
what we can like help you like find in our market. And it's the same thing with people's clients. Like, I think of Heather.
Yeah.
I want her to call people and be like, hey, why did you work with me?
Mm-hmm.
You know other realtors. Or, hey, Scott, you sent me that referral. Why did you send it to me?
Yeah.
Why didn't you send it to someone else? What do you not like about them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like really useful information.
Yeah.
When someone will call us and be like, oh, I was working with this other realtor, but I can't stand them. I'm like, before we move forward, you got to tell me what happened with them.
Yeah. To kind of.
I want to make sure I don't do what they did. First of all, I'll be playful about it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I want to make sure we do a really good job for you.
Yeah.
The camera just shut off.
That's good. Yeah. No, that's big. I like that last part. The what went well.
Yeah. I've had seasons where I do it every day.
I think most people should do it every day. Takes a lot of honesty. Again, goes back to that.
But also what you see really quickly is patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that season when I was doing it every day, the pattern I noticed was I was being loose on my accountability with my calendar. I had to put something in my calendar, but I wouldn't always do it.
Yeah.
Okay, then what do I need to change so that I'm able to do these things?
Yeah, what do you need to
So then like run through this other filter of like, so, this isn't
yeah.
sustainable in some way. So then like how can we adjust? Maybe it's time of day. I love problem solving like this. Like maybe like it's just where the activities are in the day that need to change. Like what if we just flipped it all?
to that? Yeah.
Yeah. Did all the like really hard stuff first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Or did the easy stuff in the morning and then did a workout in the middle of the day and then did hard stuff after the workout. I've done all kinds of stuff like that with my work.
Yeah. Well, it's important. Problem solving, man, that's hard.
No, it's fun. So yeah, after action report, super valuable. But all this is just about subtracting.
It's like a mindset, right?
It is, yeah.
If you're constantly in this mindset, then it just kind of loops. Because you could get really good at the consistency. And then you notice, why the heck am I making mistakes? Like, what's going on? It's a little abnormal, a little weird. I'm in a funk.
Yeah.
And then if you go back to the subtracting and maybe seeing what you've added on, kind of go through it.
That's where like an after action report, like every week or month or quarter for your business
It's important.
is really, really valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the things I do behind the scenes. I'm like, okay, what's going well? Okay, this, and this.
Sometimes it's weird stuff. Like this week, I feel like it's the random holiday in the middle of the week.
Yeah,
Kind of just
throws everything off.
throws everything off. So you feel like you're like, what the heck happened?
Yeah. It was the same thing a few weeks ago with Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Really weird.
Lenders are closed, title's closed. Like, everything's just paused. Hang on.
Takes a while to get back on track.
Yeah. That's okay, though.
Yeah.
It's a small thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you're doing that every day, you might freak out about that a little bit. Like, why did this happen?
Somebody asked me, those agents asked me today, like, what do you think about open houses? Like, are they a good use of our time? It's like, yeah, sure. It gets you in front of a lot of people. It helps you practice the job. But those people might not have enough time with you to actually like you. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will. So I gave the example of Trace and Julie. Awesome clients of ours.
Mm-hmm.
They showed up to an open house and kind of wanted the house. And then we talked to them about selling their house too.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't end up moving forward with purchasing our listing, but still wanted to work with us to sell their house and find another place. Awesome. Great. They closed in a few days. And the interesting part of that story to me is that's an expired cold call.
Yeah.
That they rejected you and you kept in touch with them for a year.
Yeah.
That's the story.
That is the story. Yeah.
It's the boring stuff of keeping in touch with Donna for a year.
Mm-hmm. And she just tried to refer us a friend with a 10,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
Which is,
yeah, that's the people that came from the open house.
Yeah, the people that came from the open house. But and Donna still likes us because we did. But yeah, it snowballs, And it's a combination of all these things. Like, honestly, I do think with expireds, I did do a little bit of this. Like, okay, what went well? Calling historic homes, houses that I like. I feel, I just liked it. That's a great thing to capitalize on.
Yeah.
With open houses, I did an open house, tried to do 2 a week for like my whole first year. I think I did at least 60 the whole first year.
Really?
Yeah. But I noticed like at 30 open house number 30, there's no point in just doing open houses unless I'm basically asking these questions, because I'm like, you hold it and you stand in the kitchen and people come in and you're too scared to go up to them and talk to them. There's no point in you being there. Like, you have to actively try to get better at actually having conversations and meeting people and then converting them as a lead. And there was tons of ways to do that.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at open houses.
Yeah, they're fun.
Because I can just shoot the breeze with people.
Mm-hmm.
And like joke about something, be self-deprecating about myself or about the house. Or
Yeah. And you figure out your way.
You do, yeah.
Like, I do this thing where I'd bring every other listing in the neighborhood, and then I'd ask people what they don't like about the house, or whether they're like, basically, are they going to get the house? And they usually say, no, it's missing like a pool. And then I'd pull out that listing.
Oh, I like that.
And I'd say, oh, this one has a pool down the road. I wrap up here at like 1. There's this good lunch spot. Let's meet here at 1:30. And then you can see it because I want you to find the right house. And I got 7 or 8 leads from that, converted 1. I'd keep doing it if we weren't so busy, but that would be how I do
Yeah.
open houses.
That's interesting.
But that was asking that question of, there's no point in being here. How do I get better at it? And realtors have to do that because so many realtors just say, yeah, I'm working hard, but they're not getting anywhere.
You know, we should probably do that at our own open houses too.
We should.
Yeah.
100%.
Like at Starkey.
Yeah, Starkey, yeah.
Hey,
No,
what about these
for
other
sure.
ones? What about this one over in Longleaf, or what about
Yeah.
this one over in Astoria? I like that.
Strategies like that, and that was part of that was listening to GSD mode.
Yeah.
That's his strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Going, okay, that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So like having those questions.
Yeah, yeah,
But you won't know what works for you unless you don't know what didn't go well. If you know what didn't go well,
yeah, yeah.
then you kind of
Where did it
out.
fall apart?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not good at being salesy,
Yeah.
but I'm great at really like wanting the best for people and just being flexible and happy to show them a place.
Yeah. I want to finish with something here. Like whenever you set a goal to succeed in something, whether it's I'm training for like a half marathon right now, whether it's a goal like that, or it's like I just want to make a living, or I want to make $500,000 a year. Whenever you set the goal, whenever you accept the goal, you also accept the work.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a training run this morning, super hard, hot, and I drank too much yesterday on July 4th, and whatever.
Yeah.
But I accepted that so that I'm prepared whenever the race comes.
Yeah.
Just like you accepted having bad open houses and learning from them whenever you decided, hey, I'm going to succeed at this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reach these 3 goals in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
When you do things like that, you not only accept the goal and the potential success, but you accept the drawbacks and the work.
That's huge.
It's huge because the drawbacks and the work are 99% of it.
Yeah. I love reading about people who came from nothing and achieved everything because they have no excuse. If they did it, you've got no excuse.
Yeah. I even feel that way about YouTube. I'm like, people don't have an excuse. Like, I didn't know how to do this.
Yeah. We were nobodies 3 years. We did not do any real estate 4 years ago.
No, they didn't have a license.
0.
Yeah.
We didn't have a big sphere. We didn't have nothing. And it got built.
Right.
Anybody can do it.
Right. It is just like an acceptance of the work, though.
Yeah.
The negative comments or the people that don't believe it will actually work, or the times when you just mess up and then you lose the client.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are just things you have to accept if you
Yeah.
want the eventual success.
Yeah, it's hard.
Not just things you have to accept, but things you have to learn from.
Mm-hmm. I said to my wife's sister, I was like, this kind of reminds me, but I said, you're 19, like you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to limit yourself to just going to college. Like if you want to be a doctor, you can be a doctor. If you want to be an astronaut, you can be an astronaut. Like there are steps to it. You just have to actually believe that you can do those things because there's people just like you that were in the same boat and now they're there.
Yeah.
But I think we just limit ourselves.
We
A
let
lot.
other people limit us too.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's some things you can't that
Mm-hmm.
you might not get to.
But all that's summarized by this whole thing that we talked about. It's all like that's the formula to
Yeah.
doing whatever it takes. Being the president, yeah, sure, go for it.
Focus, refine.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's just whether you want to do it or not.
Could you be president since you weren't born here?
I don't know. I think technically no. So I guess not president. Could be vice president.
I don't think you can.
I don't think I can either.
Well, Aaron will never be president.
Bummer.